In a vast forest, where the trees whispered ancient secrets and the wind sang forgotten melodies, lived a wolf named LUAN. Unlike the other members of his pack, who found joy in hunting and companionship, LUAN sought something deeper, something he couldn't even name. After losing a dear friend, he felt such an immense emptiness that he decided to leave in search of what was missing. Thus, he left the pack behind, seeking answers in the shadows of the forest. On that morning, under a sky painted with vibrant colors by the rising sun, LUAN set off, carrying only the weight of the absence left by his loss. The forest welcomed him, not as a stranger, but as a child returning home. The shadows around him seemed less threatening and more inviting, holding promises of revelations and discoveries. As LUAN ventured deeper into this green and shadowy world, nature began to reveal itself, not as a space of isolation, but as a sanctuary filled with life, wisdom, and magic. It was then that he encountered Athena, the wise owl, whose eyes sparkled like the stars she so often admired. Athena noticed that LUAN kept gazing at the night sky. "What do you seek among the stars, lone wolf?" Athena asked. "I am searching for the peace that eludes me," LUAN replied. The owl smiled. "The peace you seek lies in quietude, in the ability to be alone without feeling lonely." "How can I find this peace, Athena? How do I learn to appreciate solitude without drowning in loneliness?" LUAN questioned, with a sincerity only hearts truly in search of answers can possess. Athena, moving her wings with a grace that only nocturnal beings possess, replied, "You must learn to listen, lone wolf. Listen not only with your ears, but with your heart. Quietude will teach you about the silent music of the universe, a song that only those truly present can hear. Each encounter on your journey will offer you a fragment of the peace you seek. But remember, peace is a journey, not a destination. It flourishes along the path of self-acceptance and the understanding that being alone does not make you incomplete." Inspired by Athena's words, LUAN continued his journey. Each step took him deeper into both the forest and his own self. He began to notice the beauty in the simplicity of life around him, how the light danced among the leaves, the whisper of the wind telling ancient stories, and the harmonious flow of rivers and streams. Athena's lessons stayed with LUAN, guiding him through solitude not as a condition to be feared, but as a sacred space for growth and introspection. She taught him that true peace comes from within, and that by embracing solitude, he would not only find answers to his questions, but also discover a strength and serenity he never knew he possessed. The forest unfolded before him like a tapestry of mysteries and hidden truths, leading him to cross paths with the restless fox, Ravi. Ravi was a whirlwind of energy. Her feet barely touched the ground as she dashed from one task to another, her flaming tail a vibrant splash against the soft green of the forest. For her, every moment of silence seemed an abyss, a void to be filled with anything that would distract from the quiet and her own thoughts. LUAN observed her with a gentle curiosity, seeing a reflection of his own previous quest for something undefined. "Why don't you seek calm and quietude, restless fox?" LUAN asked. Ravi hesitated to answer. "I fear what I might find within myself," she confessed. "Sometimes," LUAN said, sharing what he had learned, "it is in silence that we find the most important answers." By questioning Ravi about her relentless pursuit of movement and noise, he touched on a theme many avoid: the fear of what resides within us, in the silence of our own company. Ravi's hesitation revealed more than her words could express. Her fear was not uncommon. It was a universal human fear of facing oneself, looking inward, and not liking what one sees, or worse, finding nothing at all. LUAN explained to Ravi how silence and solitude can be sources of strength, not signs of weakness. He spoke of how stepping back from the world is not an escape, but a pathway to deeper self-understanding. "I learned to value moments of quietude," LUAN said, "to listen to the whispers of the wind, the murmurs of the streams, and even the beating of my own heart, each telling its own story, revealing its own truth." For Ravi, these words were like a revelation. She had never considered quietude as something to be sought. It had always been something to avoid. The idea that it could be a space for growth and discovery was new to her, challenging her understanding of herself and the world. LUAN encouraged Ravi to try, even if just for a moment, to be still, breathe deeply, and simply listen. He promised that by doing so, she might begin to perceive the beauty of quietude, the richness of silence, and perhaps, in that space, find the answers she didn't even know she was seeking. As the sun began to paint the sky orange and pink, LUAN continued along a path bordered by tall, ancient trees, whose leaves whispered stories to the wind. It was then that he spotted a lively clearing filled with various animals, all gathered around Bruno, a friendly bear with thick fur and warm eyes. Bruno was the heart of that small community in the forest, always ready with a smile and a kind word. LUAN approached, observing how Bruno interacted with his friends. Despite the commotion and evident joy, there was a shadow in the bear's eyes that LUAN recognized. It was a shadow similar to the one he himself carried before his journey began. When the conversation allowed, Bruno shared his feelings of loneliness with LUAN, a surprising confession given the constant company surrounding him. "It's strange," Bruno murmured, "to be surrounded by so many, yet feel so alone." Feeling a deep connection with the bear's words, LUAN decided to open his heart about the discoveries of his own journey. "I walked through this forest, away from any company, searching for something I couldn't name." LUAN began with a soft but firm voice. At first, the silence was deafening. Solitude felt like a burden. But over time, that silence became a companion. "I found a part of myself that had been silenced by the noise of the world, and I discovered peace." LUAN's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. "Being alone taught me to appreciate my own company, to find contentment in my thoughts and dreams. I learned that solitude is not the void we fear, but a rich space of potential for self-knowledge and growth." Bruno listened attentively to every word of LUAN, echoing in his heart like the beat of an ancient drum. The idea that solitude could be a transformative experience, rather than something to be avoided at all costs, was new to him. Amid his always accompanied life, Bruno had never considered the possibility of seeking solitude, of exploring silence as a path to inner peace. The conversation with LUAN sparked a flicker of curiosity in Bruno. Perhaps there was something to be learned, something precious to be discovered, in the tranquil realm of his own company. The idea of venturing alone, of allowing himself to feel the fullness of silence, became less intimidating and more like an invitation to an unknown, deeply personal journey. With each encounter, LUAN learned more about himself and the peace he so sought. He understood that solitude was not an emptiness to be feared, but a space to grow and listen to his own heart. Upon returning to the pack, LUAN was no longer the same. He had discovered the secret of peace in quietude, and knew that while connections with others were important, the time spent with oneself was equally valuable. The moral of this fable goes beyond the journey of a wolf in search of peace. It invites us to reflect on the fundamental distinction between loneliness and solitude, teaching us the invaluable worth of being in our own company. Throughout the narrative, solitude emerges as a state of fullness and self-awareness, a precious moment to reconnect with our inner selves. This story reminds us that knowing how to be alone is a crucial skill in a world where we are constantly surrounded by others. It offers a necessary pause from constant social interaction, allowing us to recharge our energies and clarify our thoughts. For those who fear the idea of being alone, the fable provides a comforting perspective. Learning to appreciate solitude does not mean renouncing human connections, but rather finding a healthy balance between our interactions with others and the time we dedicate to ourselves. By embracing moments of solitude, we discover an internal source of strength and inspiration, learning that in our own company, we find one of the most valuable forms of connection. Therefore, the true lesson of this fable is that solitude is not a state to be avoided, but a sacred space for personal growth and renewal. It teaches us to value moments of quietude, showing us that by allowing ourselves to be alone, we not only confront our fears of loneliness, but also open doors to a richer and more authentic life. If you enjoyed this message, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. May God bless you.